Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I am doing pretty good. How is everybody tonight?
Tonight's episode is going to be a little bit different. It is going to be kind of fun, I think. On tonight's episode, we're not going to be throwing out a bunch of facts and figures to you. We're not going to be trying to teach you anything, actually. On tonight's episode, I kind of want it to be a little more interactive than that. I want to know what you think. That's what tonight's episode is going to be. We're going to be talking about marijuana, weed, wacky tobacco. I want to know what you think about it. Should it be legalized? In some states it is, in some states it's not. Should it be something that is legal in all 50 states? That's going to be the question tonight that we're going to be discussing. And I say I want it to be interactive because we are going to be closely monitoring the comment section of the YouTube video. So if you're listening to this right now on the radio, tomorrow, when it hits the YouTube channel, go there, click on the video, and leave your comment down below so we can see what you think about it. First of all, I want to say in full disclosure, I do not smoke marijuana. It's not that I would not smoke marijuana. It's that I have Tourette's syndrome. It is a disorder which at its root is an impulse control disorder. It also goes hand in hand with obsessive compulsive disorder. So I don't partake in any substances that can alter my thinking in any way. I don't drink, I don't smoke weed, I don't do any drugs, I don't do anything like that because it is a struggle sometimes to not say things that I want to say or to not do things that I want to do. So I don't want anything getting in between me and my logical brain making a good decision. So that's why I don't smoke marijuana. That being said, I am absolutely in love with the whole marijuana culture. I love everything about it. I think that it's brilliant, to be honest with you. I have looked at the research when it comes to cancer, when it comes to overall health, and I believe that marijuana is a wonder drug. I think that it is really beneficial to the human body and can help with a whole lot of different things. There are a lot of things that people say about marijuana. They say that it makes you stupid. Is that true? This is one of those points where I would like you to leave your comments down below. Let me know. Do you think that is true or not? We've all heard the stereotype of the dumb stoner. The guy that's like, whoa, man, what's going on, dude? That guy. Is that a reality? I've known people like that in my life, for sure. And they did smoke a lot of weed. But I've also known people that have smoked a lot of weed that are brilliant people, that it does not seem to affect at all. So what do you think is the truth about that stereotype? Do you think that that's a real thing? Do you think that it only affects certain people and not others? I'm going to be really interested to see your comments. Are you a person that smokes weed? If you are, were you smarter before you started smoking weed? And are you dumber now? That's a good question to ask as well. Now keep in mind, I'm going to say this at the beginning of the show here so nobody gets the wrong idea. I do not mean any offense by anything I say tonight. I am not trying to say that people that smoke marijuana are dumb. As I said in the beginning, I love the whole culture of marijuana. I would absolutely smoke marijuana. 100% I would do it if I wasn't afraid of what would happen if I did. If I was a normal person, I would have no worries about it at all. But with the Tourette syndrome, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to control myself if I do. And I'm in a situation I cannot have myself completely out of control. So that's why I don't. But otherwise I would. So I don't mean any offense when I ask any of these questions. I'm going to bring up tonight a lot of different things that are stereotypical of people that smoke marijuana and that I have heard people that are against marijuana say. And I would like your opinion on it. Honestly, I would. I think that this is a discussion that needs to be had because we are at a crossroads for our nation here where you are starting to see marijuana become legalized in different places. And then other places are trying to get it legalized. And then you have people that are fighting very hard against it, trying to stop it. So I guess the next question we would have to ask is, in the places where marijuana has been legalized, what has happened? Have we seen a tremendous amount of adverse effects? Are people dying in the streets? Are people becoming hopelessly addicted, selling their children for a dime bag? Do you have an increase in violent crime? What is happening in those states that would point to either A, not legalizing marijuana anywhere else and making it illegal again in those states, or B, what is happening that would point to us saying, well, hell, it's working so well here, why don't we do it everywhere? That's another thing I'd like to hear from you on in the comment section. If you live in a state where marijuana is now legal, what has happened in your state because of it? I have heard reports from the states that have done this of a hell of a lot more revenue going into the coffers of the state through taxes. And they're able to do more things now than they were before because they have all this extra revenue. To me, that seems like a pretty good thing. Any time that you can give the people more freedom, I am for it. I believe in as small of a government as humanly possible to maintain civilization. I don't want government involved in every little decision we make in our lives. I think it's better when you get to make your own choices. The Constitution guarantees us a lot of different rights, and among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So as long as you're not harming somebody else, I don't see where it's anybody's business what the hell you do. That's my opinion. If you want to smoke marijuana while you own 30 firearms, climb to the top of a mountain, buck naked, and hula hoop on top of a redwood, I don't care. That is your choice. Do what the hell you want. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, I'm completely cool with you. You don't have to agree with the way I think. I don't have to agree with the way you think. But you're free to think that way. That's my point of view. That's the way I feel about government and freedom. I think that you should be allowed to do whatever the hell you want to do. I don't see enough evidence that marijuana is hurting people. I don't see any evidence that it's addictive, that it's going to cause societal breakdown or any of those things that all these people keep saying that it's going to do. Now, if you disagree with that, if you happen to be on the other side of this debate, please, by all means, leave your comment in the comment section. I'll be interested to see what you say. Explain to me why I should care if Joe Blow over there smokes a bowl, eats a bag of Doritos, and veges out in front of his TV all night. Why should I care? Why is that my business? Why should I be up in arms about it enough to make it illegal? Because in my opinion, if you're going to make something illegal, there has got to be a damn good reason. If I'm going to abridge your freedom to do something that brings you happiness, there better be a reason that's causing harm to somebody else. That's the way I look at things. So let me know down in the comments what your opinion is. Now I want to ask Old Boy, because Old Boy lives in California. And California is a state that has legalized marijuana. So what I would like to know from him, from his firsthand experiences, what has happened in that state since marijuana was legalized? What are the pros and cons? And what is his view on it? What does he think about it? And what has he witnessed himself? So, Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
And thank you, brother. And just so everybody knows, it's not legal in California. It's only legal for medical use if you get a doctor's note. In the state, some counties have legalized it, like in towns. In Adelanto, it is legal. Humboldt County is totally legal. It is still federally illegal, but California is only for medicinal purposes only. That's Nevada, Colorado, and there's a couple, I forget what, I think Alaska, and there's other states, they are legal, totally 100% legal now. Las Vegas, you can buy it legalized. You don't have to have a doctor's note. You could buy it legally in Colorado without a doctor's note, and it has helped your economy. Here in California, like in the town in Adelanto I work in, I don't live there, it's legal to buy it. You can get it delivered to your house. If you get caught out of town, though, you can get fined up if it's over, I think it's an ounce or something. You won't go to jail. You just get a written warning. But it's still not 100% legal in California. Only certain counties, and even then, it's San Bernardino counties back and forth with it. And there's other places that deliver, and they have dispensaries, and they deliver to people who supposedly have a license, or you get a medical card saying you can buy marijuana, and it's from a doctor, and that's how you get it. I can't because I have a gun license. When we were kids, we all did stuff we weren't supposed to talk about. That's all I'll say about that. Everybody has somebody in their family or know people who smoke it. I do. It's California. I have no problem with it. I think it should be legal. If like I told James, if it was totally 100% legal, but because one thing in California they made, if you smoke marijuana, you can't really have guns. And that's a big argument. It's still going back and fighting in court over, because they said you can't, think right or something. It's really stupid, because you could buy alcohol and you could buy cigarettes and you could be on medication, but you can't smoke and you can't have a gun. There's a big argument right now about that. It's still a court battle, but that's why I don't do it. Plus my job, I lose my job, so I can't do it. But if I could, I would, but I don't. But I have no problem with people doing it. I think it helps people. I think people it's another way to make a lot of money. We can make a lot of money in California once it becomes legal, and it will, because it's eventually going to get voted on. They barely can pass it 100%. They did pass it, whereas for marijuana use, for medical use, it passed. The next step is to get it legal altogether. I think they should federally legalize it through 50 states. I don't think there's not a big deal. I don't get why people have a problem with it, because they hear something. It's not as bad as cigarettes. It's better than cigarettes. I don't care what anybody says. This helps you with cancer. Anything that's wrong with like diabetes, brain tumors, stuff that people are like dying, that have a terminal cancer or HIV or anything, any kind of, this helps them at pain, or need to have like surgery or blood diseases or bone diseases, bone cancers, anything. This helps you. People with Tourette's syndrome. Some people can't take it because, like I said, they can't handle it, but it does help. It helped with people with ADHD. It helps people calm down. I've seen it. And you don't necessarily have to smoke it. They make it where you can do edibles. You could drink it. They even take the THC out where you don't get the high. They actually make it does not. It's totally legal if it doesn't have. Everything has a little bit of THC, but it has like under 1%, so it's legal. You could smoke it, and it helps you. And there's oils. They use hemp. Hemp seeds. The seeds that's legal. You can use that anywhere. You can use that for creams. It helps with muscle pains, back pains, pain. All kinds of stuff. They have stuff for your teeth. You can make clothing out of it. Hemp is a good rope. All kinds of stuff. So marijuana has more than just smoking and eating and getting high off of it. It makes people feel better. Plus, you can use it for clothing, shirts, shoes. I've even seen it. Creams. So it's for other stuff you can do with it. You can put it in food. There's places in Amsterdam you can go in and pick, and they make you stuff where you can eat it. Amsterdam, it's 100% legal. Like that's not all. I think you can get hash, you can get wax, all kinds of stuff. But you can also get other drugs in Amsterdam. I think almost everything's legal there. And I'm not for every drug being legal. Let's not go there, guys. But marijuana, I just don't get why it's even illegal. The government, because I think they ain't making money off of it. I think it would stop a lot of the cartels, and that would take a big chunk of that away, because marijuana would no longer be able to be any money make out of it, because the government would be running it. And I agree with James. I think small government, more than people getting told what to do. I don't get why you want the government to save you for everything. They don't need to be in everything in your business. I do see why some of it is, because there's people out there who want to do bad things to people, but not to people who are playing video games or smoking marijuana or going out having a good time. I believe the same thing. You can believe in whatever you want. I don't care what your sexual orientation is, your religious belief is, anything. You could go dance on the top of Mount Everest with a dressed up as a unicorn, smoking weed and drinking, and I wouldn't care, as long as you're doing it safely. I believe you should have a gun. I have my opinions on that. Now maybe we'll do another show about the Second Amendment, even though that's going to go somewhere. But that's a whole nother story. But with marijuana, I think it should be legal. I know a lot of people who do it. I work by where they sell it. They have dispensaries and they got shops you can go and buy it. They actually come in and they advertise. So that's how I know about it. I mean, it's everybody knows there. And there's other places that do. I think down in Long Beach they legalized it, and there's other places over up north, especially Humboldt County, it's totally legal there. In other places they sell it. I know there's different places, but I believe it helps people. I believe there's a lot of purpose. It could help a lot other than tobacco. My personal opinion is nicotine and tobacco. I used to be a heavy smoker, guys. I used to smoke 2.5 packs a day till I was about 32. I smoked since I was 13. I smoked for about 21 years, and I was getting sick. James smokes nicotine. He doesn't smoke cigarettes. He smokes vape, and a lot of people have a problem with that. But I have a friend who's in vaping, and that's the cigarette companies because they want to put them out of business so they can get another way of making money off of that. You got to realize the paper. I understand nicotine is not the best thing for you, but at least you don't have all the chemicals with the filter and the paper. I understand people are saying, "Oh, well, the flavors." I get that, but people have smoked since they were kids. My grandfather. Don't get me wrong. I'm against kids smoking cigarettes. I really wish no one would smoke, but they're going to do what they're going to do. This is what the argument is. They just want somebody to blame. If you're going to smoke, you're smoking because you know there's a bad consequence. And you're going to do it. With marijuana, it is nothing like that. There's no proven. There's people who want to say that you could die from it, from your lungs. There's still an argument on that. I don't believe that. I know somebody's going to write on their comments why it shouldn't be this and why this and that and why it shouldn't be legal. I have met people who've smoked weed, and I've heard of one case of somebody over smoking and dying, and it's only one time. And I think they smoked so much, like they just died from carbon monoxide. But other than that, I've seen people get in accidents now. Now, you shouldn't be operating cars because it should be just like drinking. You should not be driving around while you're smoking marijuana. Now, if you take this, where you take the stuff where it doesn't have the THC in it for for medicine, that's one thing. But if you're smoking it and has THC in it or eating it, the edible, you shouldn't be driving around. It's just like drinking and driving. And that's where I have my opinions on. You should be doing it at your house. You should never smoke when there's kids in the car or in the house. Go outside or find a place in the garage. Because in California, you can't smoke with people in the car. I don't know. I know other states don't care, but in this state, you can't smoke cigarettes with your kids in a car anymore. You can do it in your own house. That's one thing, but with a car, they'll ticket you. It's against the law. Plus, it isn't right. In marijuana, you shouldn't be doing it either. It happens. I've seen it, but you shouldn't. I don't think, other than that, I wouldn't care if they opened marijuana bars everywhere. People went in there. I don't know how you would level it out like you would do with liquor, because you can only drink one or beer, or a drink every hour, or unless you're bigger, a drink or two. Maybe it could be like, we could see what they could do a test at how much you could, like maybe 1 hit, 2 hits, and then you can't drive anymore. That's the only thing about is going to these places. They should have you could sit there for half the day till you got sobered up.
What has been the experience in California with that? How have they handled that with people smoking and then driving? Has there been an increase in people flying all over the roads and crashing into stuff or anything like that, or has it just been pretty much normal?
I don't know the statistics. I haven't heard anything. I've heard there's been a couple more accidents. Now in Colorado, I heard there's more accidents because people are just smoking it and driving around. I have heard that. California, I'm going to be honest with you, because even before they legalized this, Humboldt County is one of the biggest known county, and it was already legal there, or even if it wasn't, they didn't care. I don't know why. There's a reason for that. But we also, by the Mexican border, people are growing it. So that's why they ended up getting it where medical was for medical use. They're fighting right now to make it legal. But people smoked it so much here. It's crazy how many people smoke it here. I would be honest, in California, to say 35 to 40% of the population that are not kids smoke marijuana or have. Oh, I'd say have is about 50 or has at one time. And I'm not saying kids. I'm saying, and even with teenagers, I can know that. I probably could tell you that. And I haven't heard too much of the statistics on it. I haven't heard too much. That should tell you something right there. I've heard that these factories have been getting robbed and shut down by the Fed. That is happening. But I also hear there's a lot of revenue coming from it. I've heard that lines are out the door, and because what's going on now, they considered it essential in California, and it's about to be legal anyway. Just tell you, I think it's going on the ballot this year. No, we haven't had too many problems. I know that there's people who are smoking it all the time now, where it didn't matter where I'm at. I live in Apple Valley. You got to have America, but I smell it, and you could smell it a mile away. This stuff is so potent because they're making it out of labs and stuff. Because I do know what goes on. You know, I'm not an idiot, and I've had people tell me, I have friends who smoke it. I'm not going to lie, and they grow it, and they tell me what they put in it. And it isn't like the marijuana you smoked when you were a hippie. You know, it's got man-made chemicals in it, and they have different different wines. You know, like you have a good wine, and you have the bargain wine, or the cheap stuff that the poor people or the people who want to buy more get better stuff off the shelf. I know it works like that. That's just how it always is. There's always going to be better something and lower something. But, I don't see too much problems with it. Actually, the crime's gone down because a lot of the gangs were controlling the marijuana here and selling it. So making it with these places and grow factories where they grow it, and they're involved in it. Trust me, probably are. I don't know for sure, but I know. It's just we don't talk about it. They're the cartels, everybody knows that. But it's taking money from them. And the federal government, we could probably, because there's almost 40-something million people here, probably. So we could make so much money. I mean, Colorado, I heard, is making, I think, $8 billion or something I read. So is Vegas, like 6 or 7 billion or 5 billion or something. So it'd probably be maybe 100, because how many people here? Or maybe around 50 to 100, somewhere around that of revenue, because we have so many people here. If you go to Long Beach, you just walk in Venice Beach, there's pipe shops, because all that stuff is legal to sell. The pipes, papers, bongs, water pipes, whatever you want to call it. That's legal in California. You're allowed to have that legally. You can go in, anybody can go in there and a liquor store or a cigarette store. Like there's cigarette shops out here. You go in, they got vapes. You can use vape marijuana too. That's another big thing that's going on now. But you can buy all that stuff. You can buy the pipes, the bongs, all that. And the grinders, that's all legal. All the paraphernalia is legal, as long as it doesn't have it in it. It's weird. Anybody can do it. That's all legal. And that's where they make a lot of the money, because all that stuff, I mean, I've seen stuff with like Alice in Wonderland, Nightmare Before all this crazy stuff. People can make anything out of it. And they're making a lot of money off of this. These cigarette shops, they're not just selling cigarettes, because they're making, I don't know, but California averages $9 to $10 a pack of cigarettes right now. Especially up north, it's like 15. If you buy a carton, you're talking about what, $200 around that. So if you're going to buy cigarettes, they also have all this paraphernalia, and they also have cigars and stuff and liquor. But most places, they have their own cigarette shops now, and they sell pipes, the galore there, glass pipes, metal pipes. I've seen it because I used to smoke, and I buy cigars once in a while, and I'll see they're all over the place, man. It's there. That's another thing. It's California's culture is marijuana is very popular. Marijuana, like Cheech and Chong, that movie was made in California, 1978. And they made a bunch of other movies, but that's where they're from. California has put it on the map.
See, I think that there are so many things that are beneficial, and it seems like the only part of it that people have a problem with is the THC portion. The CBD portion, which is what you find in all those hemp creams and pills and all that kind of stuff, is incredibly beneficial for stress relief, for pain relief. My wife has fibromyalgia. She also has bipolar, and so she has some problems that she has to take medication for. She does CBD through the vape, okay? It has less than 1% THC. It's just CBD. And the difference in the pain level that she has is extraordinary. This stuff, when I said earlier it's a miracle drug, I honestly believe that, because it helps so much. I've seen people that suffer from really bad depression who have gotten on a regimen of CBD products, and now they have mellowed out to where they can live a normal life. So it helps extraordinarily well with pain relief. It helps extraordinarily well with anxiety and depression issues. And then let's talk about the other benefits of the hemp plant. All the things you can do with it. Old boy mentioned rope. You can make paper. You can make, I saw this amazing thing. I watched I don't know if you would call it a documentary, but it was a factual clip of, I don't know, like 20, 30 minutes. And they were talking about making building materials out of the hemp plant. I think it was called hempcrete, but I could be completely wrong. But they were making these bricks out of hemp that they were building houses out of. It was amazing. There are so many different uses for this. And if you're a person that is into the environment and you're one of those like save the trees hippie kind of people, what better way to save the trees and save forests than by growing hemp instead of cutting down trees? First of all, you can get, I think, up to 3 harvests a year out of hemp plants, whereas it takes a tree 20 years to grow to full size to where you can use it for much of anything. So you can get a lot more than you can with trees. This way you're not cutting down the trees. It has amazing medical properties. We've seen that. It seems to me, honestly, like the only problem people have with this is the THC. Now, why is that? Is it because they just don't want people to get high and have a good time? Or is it because they are worried about it being a mind-altering kind of substance? We were talking about the car accident thing. Has there been more car accidents and more people driving erratically and crazy than there were before it was legalized? That is a good question for everybody listening. If you are in a state where marijuana has been made legal, what has the difference been on the roads? What have you noticed? You don't have to know the statistics. You go out every day. You drive every day. Most people, whether it's to work or just to go to Walmart or the mall or whatever, you go out. What have you noticed? Have you noticed people driving all over the road like crazy people? Have you noticed people hanging out in the streets doing goofy things? Or is it pretty much life as normal? I have a sneaking suspicion that it's pretty much going to be life as normal, because the people that are going to buy the marijuana that is now legal were already smoking the marijuana before. They were just doing it illegally. I think that is a key thing in this whole discussion that needs to be addressed. Is the fact that the people who want to smoke marijuana are going to smoke marijuana whether you make it illegal or not. The war on drugs is a joke. It is an absolute joke. It has accomplished nothing. Look at how long we've been. I remember when I was a little kid, Ronald Reagan was the president. Nancy Reagan had that whole Just Say No campaign. My entire life, there's been a war on drugs. There's still drugs. There are more people getting high today than there were back when I was a kid. So it has accomplished absolutely nothing. The only thing it has accomplished, if you want to be real about it, is you've taken a lot of citizens that were otherwise law-abiding people. They weren't out hurting anybody. They weren't burning down buildings. They weren't murdering people. They weren't stealing. They were just getting high. And you've thrown them in prison. You've ruined their lives. You've ruined their children's lives. And in the process, you've caused the prison system to become incredibly overcrowded. So much so that these prisons have started letting people out early because they have too many people in there. Now, the people they're letting out early, some of them are rapists, some of them are child molester type people, some of them are people that have done bad things that they should be locked up for. And they're either getting let out early or getting shorter sentences because of overcrowding of the prisons. Well, when you have all of these people whose only crime was marijuana locked up in the prison, you don't have room to keep the people that you should be keeping in the prison. That's my point. That to me makes absolutely no sense. That is insane. You should not be locking people up in prison for nonviolent drug crimes. I don't care what drug it is. It doesn't make any damn sense. Why would you take a guy or a girl whose only crime is getting high? Okay, even if they're like a heroin junkie or something, right? Even if they're like nodding out all the time and just a complete waste of life. They're doing nothing. They're not accomplishing anything. They're a drain on society. Even a worst case scenario like that. Let's go all the way to the extreme worst. Even that person, why the hell would you lock them in a prison? That makes no sense. How's that going to help that person? You want to take them out of that environment? You want to help that person? Okay. How about instead of throwing them in prison, we put them in treatment? Get them clean. Get them off drugs. Give them a chance to succeed. Then put them back into society and see how they do. Locking them up in prison is only creating more criminals, in my opinion. I think it's crazy. I don't understand. If they haven't hurt anybody, why lock them up? If you want to get them off the street, put them in treatment. Help them. The prison system's crazy anyway, because all you're doing is making bad people worse when you put them there. Now, some people need to go. Don't get that twisted. I'm not saying get rid of prisons. Hell no, don't get rid of prisons. There are people out there that need to be in prison. They're the people that are hurting people, that are hurting children, that are hurting women, that are killing and robbing and doing those kind of things. Those people need to have their ass locked up. But don't throw your old buddy from high school who's a pothead, don't put him in prison. What are you accomplishing? You're putting him in there with killers. What do you think he's going to be when he comes back out? And some of the sentences these people are getting are absolutely insane, in my opinion. I don't understand. I know people that have been locked away in prison for over a decade because they had weed. They weren't dealers. They weren't over at the school selling to kids. They had drugs for their own personal use. But because of the amount they had and how insane the law is, they got charged with intent to distribute and all those kind of things. To where they say, well, you got so much that we think you're going to sell it to somebody. So therefore, we're going to charge you like you're some drug kingpin or something. When in reality, it might have been tax time and they got their tax check and they thought, hell, I'm going to smoke this stuff anyway so I can get a good deal and buy a couple ounces instead of, or a half pound or something, instead of buying just a quarter bag, and I can put that in my freezer, and then I don't have, I can get a much better price. I don't have to spend as much on it, and I'll have it for a longer period of time. Maybe that was the case, but they just happened to get busted with it coming home or something, and next thing you know, they're locked up. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. And if you understand why that is, if you understand and you think that it's wise of us as a society to lock people up who just want to get high, please explain that to me. I'm not trying to be contrary with you. I'm not trying to argue. I honestly don't get it. I don't see how that helps anybody. The only people it might help are whoever the hell's making money off locking people up. That's a whole nother show we can do sometime in the future, is on the prison system and how basically it's a farm to make money. They're using people as crops, really. They just want to put bodies into beds because they get paid per person. That's a whole nother show we can do in the future. But I don't understand why, if you really want to help these people, prison's not the right way. Prison is for punishment, not for rehabilitation. Every time they try to do rehabilitation in prison, it never works out because they're never willing to actually invest the money. It's all just politics, man. It's all just a publicity thing. They want a photo op, but they're not really interested in helping the people. Now, there's some people that you just can't help. I get that. 100% I get that. Believe me, I'm no soft liberal. I'm not one of those kind of make everything legal people. You know what I mean? I understand there's a need for prison. I understand there's a need for the death penalty. I understand these things. But I don't see how what we're doing is helping anybody. It's not helping society. It's not helping the person you're locking up. It doesn't make any sense. Another thing I'd like to know is, in the states where marijuana has been made legal, what has happened to all of those people who got sent to jail and prison for possession of marijuana? Were they let go? Or are they still in jail for something that is now legal? That is a very interesting question to me. And I do not know the answer to it. So if you know that answer, please leave that down in the comments, because I would love to know. If they have not been released, should they be released? Should they be still in prison for something that they would not go to prison for today, just because it was illegal when they did it, but it's not legal, or it's not illegal now? That's an interesting factual question, and to me that's an interesting moral question as well. Because if we're saying now that it is not illegal in these states to possess marijuana, whether it's medical or just for the fun of it, if we're saying that, okay, you know what, we don't have a problem with it, you can have weed, is it then moral to keep people locked up? That the only reason you locked them up was because they had weed? Or is it the right thing to do just to let them go? That's an interesting question I'm wondering if anybody knows the answer to, or what your opinion is on it. If we have a drug that is so beneficial in so many ways, why can't we figure out a way to utilize it? If you're worried about the THC portion, you don't want people getting high, driving around. One solution is, as old boy said, make it just like alcohol, where you can't drink and drive, you can't smoke and drive either. If you are driving erratically and a police officer pulls you over and he tests you and you have any marijuana in your system, then that's it. You go to jail or whatever the penalty is. I don't know how they would come up with a test that you could judge that, because it stays in your system for like a month. So you could have smoked yesterday and they'll still get it in your system. So I don't know how they would figure that out. I don't even know if there is a way to figure that out. But there could be some kind of compromise there. But at the very least, we should be allowed to grow hemp and use it for all kinds of different purposes that it can be used for. But you can't. Now, if you have a certain license, you can. In a lot of states, they will allow you to grow it, the hemp version that does not have the THC, if you apply for special licensing from the government and you pay all these crazy fees and all this kind of stuff, then they will allow you to grow it under strict conditions where you have to meet all of these different requirements and they have to be able to come out and check and this, that, and the other thing. That's nuts. Am I the only person that thinks that's absolutely crazy? Let me tell you a story. Everybody knows that listens to this show, I'm a mountain guy. My family are mountain people. We are the epitome of the word hillbilly. My kinfolk came from the mountains of West Virginia. We were the kind of people that lived way up in the mountain and didn't nobody go up there and mess with us because you might get shot. We were a little off. If you've ever seen that movie Wrong Turn, that was based on people in the area where I actually come from. Okay? When my grandmother was growing up, marijuana grew wild all over the mountain. Because that's one thing about marijuana, it grows wild. And if you plant it, it grows. And it spreads like crazy. It grows everywhere. But it was all over the mountain. It still is over the mountain up there. My people used to use it to make teas. And they would drink those teas to help with arthritis, to help with headaches, to help with all kinds of little minor aches and pains. And the women folk would use those teas to help with their monthly cycles. It would ease the cramping, ease the pain, the irritability, all those things that come along with that. It was something that was done by all those people for generation after generation after generation. Until one day, one of the revenue guys came up and he happened to see that plant up there by their place. And he asked my grandmother, he said, "Do you know what that plant is?" And she said, "Well, yes, sir, I know what that plant is." He said, "What do you do with that plant?" And she said, "Oh, we make tea out of it. It helps all kinds of different things. It's medicine." And he told her, "Well, you've got to dig that up and burn it. You're not allowed to have that. We'll come up here and we'll arrest all of you and burn half the mountain down to get rid of it." Now, these people were living their own lives up in the mountains, not bothering a damn person. A plant that grew wild. Nobody planted it. God put it there. It just grew. It had been growing as long as there had been people. It had been growing. Some revenue man from the government comes. Now, the revenue men from the government were a law enforcement agency whose purpose was to come up into the mountains and catch people like my kinfolk making moonshine. Now, see, the reason they did not like us making moonshine is because they did not get their revenue from it. They didn't get their taxes from it. They could not charge a whole bunch of money on top of what we were charging for it, because we could just make it and sell it on our own and not pay them no damn taxes. So that's why those kind of people would go up into places like that, because they were trying to catch people like us running stills, making shine. But the fact that some guy from the government could go up into the mountain and tell a family that's living up there, not bothering anybody, that they have to cut down a bunch of plants that grew wild, otherwise they were going to jail, is insane. That is crazy. What have we gotten to in this country where we allow our government to do that? We are supposed to be free people. Now, you don't have to agree with smoking marijuana. I don't personally smoke marijuana. But just because I don't smoke marijuana does not mean you should not be allowed to. We are supposed to be free. And it is time that we start taking that back. It is time for us to stop allowing the government that is supposed to work for us. Government is instituted in order to preserve our rights, not to take them away from us. We've gotten way too damn comfortable in this country with allowing the government and authority figures to come in and tell us what the hell we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. Our founding fathers, the people that started this country, grew marijuana. Did you know that? George Washington had field after field after field of hemp plants. Many of our other founders did as well. The reason they did that, one, it was a really good cash crop. And two, their primary crop, which was tobacco, you could only get like 3, maybe 4 seasons of growth out of tobacco before it leaches the hell out of the ground. And almost nothing will grow there anymore because all of the nutrients are gone. That's what tobacco does. It's a very needy plant. So they would get a plot of land, they would plant tobacco, they would grow tobacco for 3 or 4 years, which was about all you could do, make money off of it, and then they had to move on to another plot of land to grow more tobacco because that original plot of land could not sustain it anymore. So what do they do with that other plot of land? Well, you could plant hemp on that land because the great thing about marijuana is it grows anywhere, and it don't take a lot to grow it. It's very easy to grow. So they would plant fields of hemp, and they would use that hemp for rope, for paper, for smoking, for all kinds of different purposes. It was a great cash crop for them. So how are we allowing the government to tell us that it is not okay for us to grow or utilize a plant that God put on the earth for us and that our founding fathers grew? That makes no sense to me. But as always, you are free to make your own mind up on it. And I would really like to see your comments and what you think about this subject matter, what you think. Because if you're listening to this and you live in America, if you are an American citizen, then you are also covered by the Constitution. You are free to pursue happiness. You are free to speak your mind. You are free. I know it doesn't appear that way anymore, but that's because we have allowed that to happen. But that's not the way it was meant to be. And that's not the way it has to be. We just have to rise up as one and say no more. We are done with you telling us what the hell we can do all the time. Period. And I don't care whether you agree with me politically. I don't care whether you agree with me on this subject matter. You are still free. And I will go to bat for you. I will fight for you to be free, to make your own damn mind up. That's what America is supposed to be about, the freedom. And that means the freedom to be stupid sometimes, the freedom to make bad decisions and bad choices. We're not supposed to be telling people you're not allowed to do that because it's bad for you. Why is it any of your damn business if it's bad for me? That's the way I look at it. You realize in the beginning of our country, you had people that went out into the wilderness as trappers, mountain men that went out there to trap animals to sell their fur. They were out there with grizzly bears and all manner of dangerous things, Indian tribes that would kill you in a heartbeat. Was that good for their health? Hell no, that was a dumb thing to do. It was much easier to stay in town. You know, stay back, be a farmer somewhere, back east. But they were free to live their life how they wanted to live it. But somehow along the way, we've lost our way. We started living like slaves instead of like free people. And I'd really love to see us get back to that. See, for me, America is a special place. Because I grew up all over the world. I traveled from base to base to base, and I've seen a lot of other countries. I've seen places with my own eyes, and I've lived in places that aren't free, that don't have the kind of freedoms guaranteed that we have in our Constitution. And we take them for granted. We do not fight for them. We allow them to be watered down and taken away from us every day. And it's sad to watch. So I'm going to throw back over to Old Boy and get his sum up and opinions and all that kind of stuff on everything I've said. But I'd also like your opinion down in the comment section of the YouTube video. Should we be free? Are we free? Should we continue to allow the government to tell us what to do in every aspect of our life? There's not a thing you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed that does not have some sort of damn law or government regulation on it. Nothing. Should we allow that? That's my question. Go ahead, brother.
And the answer is no. But the problem is too many people ruined it for us. That's why it ends up being like that. I don't think they should have a lot to do with anything. I think there should be laws that just happens. I also think that with what's going on with the economy and what's going on with the virus, that they were talking. I just was reading an article while you were talking about how legalizing it in all 50 states would probably help the economy, and it probably would. It probably would help it a lot, like maybe 20 to 25%, because there's a lot of people who smoke it. They're saying at least 80 million people to 100 million people. That's like third of the country, and I think it's probably even around more of that. But that would bring a lot of revenue in the. It's already proven it does it. California, Colorado. If you do it every state, you're going to have. You're probably going to bring billions of dollars in. It's going to help the revenue. It's easy. It's probably not a quick. It's a quick fix for right now. Maybe not the long run, but at least for a couple, 10, 15 years, it will help a lot. It would be a fast thing to do right now, and I would be totally for it. But yes, I don't believe the government should be. I think it should be legalized. It's just I think it was some way of controlling, and they're going to keep doing it, guys. Think about it. What people need to realize is once you lose one right, they're going to go after other ones, and they're going to keep going till they have you doing what they want you to do. Just remember that, guys. That's what. There's certain people who think we should be told and treated like animals, and they did it before, thousands of years ago. They had people who were there. They were in power, and they treated people like crap. This is why we ended up having rights and going to war over this stuff. because we were told what to do and getting taxed for tea and all kinds of other stuff. They were trying to take our guns away. Our ancestors did not deal with the stuff that we deal with right now. There would have been something going on. And I think people are showing that now, but that's a whole nother show we can do about rights and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know it's different from the paranormal and crypto and conspiracy, but it is actually a law. And I mean, laws and stuff with the government. And it talks about this. This is a very big issue right now. It's popular. A lot of people are against it, and a lot of people are for it. Majority of people are for it. There's just some people, I don't know, they just don't like it. I know there's some people who don't like it because it's not making them a profit. But that's just how it's always going to be. So they find a way to make money, and the government would make money off it because they could tax it and get other cigarette companies to get involved. Because I already heard they do in some states, they make marijuana cigarettes, so they could get them involved too. There's ways of making money off of this. Just like here, they tax them here. The state does. There's ways of making money off of this. And I don't understand it either. It takes the crime down. You don't get people into jail for marijuana. You don't have people, and that would take at least 20% of the jail population away. So, I mean, you're saving us a lot of money and making a lot of money. So that's all I'm saying. Yes, we should legalize it. You leave your comments in the thing. We'll let you know what we think and what we can, our opinions back on it. I would like to see people. I know people are going to say their opinions on it. There's going to be people against it. Well, we should have people drive around high. Well, we should have people drinking, but that's legal. Why is drinking legal? And cigarettes, knowing it kills people, it's still legal. They have strict laws on it, but it's still legal. What's the difference? There's people on medication that's legal medication, and they get hooked on that. It's just proven fact. I think marijuana is the reason why people are banning that, because they haven't figured out a tolerance level of what you can get high, like we were talking about, and there's certain people who are making money off of the illegal part of it, and the prison system, like he was saying, they're making money, especially in California. That's one of the biggest prison systems in the world. We have 8 million or more people in jail, so they're making money off of this. Private security, private businesses, private prisons are making money off of this. So that's why it hasn't been legal yet in California. It will be, and then that will probably bring a lot of money into this state. And I think they should legalize it. I think they should just get rid of the ban altogether, and I guarantee, there you go, there's some money coming into our country. It'll be a big jump to our economy. So, that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the show. I want to know your feedback. Please let us know. Leave your comments in the box. If you want to listen to all our shows on Staring into the Abyss, go and join James Hershey Jr.'s subscribe page and just subscribe and listen to all our shows. And this one will be on in a couple of days too. So, and I love you guys from ParaX. Thanks for listening. Every weekend on Sunday nights, 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern, technically Monday morning. Thanks for listening. If you guys want to get some merchandise, shirts, and other stuff, he'll tell you where to go. And you get whatever you want. Just let us know. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It was something different. I'm glad we did it. It's something that I'm interested in. And it's a big topic in my state. And I think through the country it's being talked about. Because they're talking about, one of the ideas is legally. They've already been talking about legalizing it anyway federally, because it's a waste of time and money. And they should just do it. Because it helps a lot of people with pain. It helps people stay out of jail. People should not be in jail unless, okay, some drugs like the ones that just alter your mind, where they make you like PCP and all that crap. It makes you like want to go out and kill people. Meth, because meth is a man-made drug. It was made for partying and stuff like that. But people just steal, murder, that kind of stuff is a different thing. We can get into that another show on that one. But I have opinion on that. But I think marijuana should be legal. And I hope you have a good night. Blessed be, misfits, sugar ladies, monster hunters, and demon lovers. I love you. And have a great night.
The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. for those listening on the radio. On that page, you will find every episode of Staring into the Abyss and a bunch of other content. There's the TV show Tales we do. There's other paranormal videos on there, and there's a bunch of gameplay stuff that I'm doing on there now where I'm playing video games and doing videos like that. I'm a big gamer. I've done it my whole life. There's a ton of cool stuff there for you to check out. So please go to the channel and subscribe and enjoy it. The merchandise store is teespring.com/stores/staring into the abyss. That's where all of the merch is. There's t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, pillows, posters, all kinds of stuff. If you're into merch and you want some, that's where you can find it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the support. And until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.